This conference will now be recorded.
Ready? All right, we call this meeting to order, 11:04 hours. Roll call.
Mike Laurie.
Here.
Sasha Duchesne. Here. Doug Hildreth.
Here.
Kristen Sanders.
Here.
Wes Bonheim.
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have a little speech prepared here, to give everyone an idea how this meeting is going to go. I'd like to start by welcoming everyone to this special meeting of the board. We're here today in response to and to address issues that have been expressed to us and are important to the community. In connection with our county supervisor, Michelle Bushnell, this meeting has brought our county sheriff, William Hansel, and the director of planning and building department, John Ford, also CHP Lieutenant Commander Gabriel Parker. For today's meeting, I would like to give a run through on how this meeting will work. First, we will give the representatives an opportunity to introduce themselves to the community. Then we'll open the meeting to the public comment. During public comment, Supervisor Bushnell will be facilitating public comment. She will give you an overview of how the public comment will work for this meeting. We've scheduled about 90 minutes for public comment. At the conclusion of the public comment, the board will have the opportunity to address the community. And thanks everyone for coming. I really appreciate it. This is a wonderful turnout. Oh, also, for your 3 minutes, if you hear this, your 3 minutes have been exhausted, just so you know. We will strictly adhere to the 3-minute policy in the interest of time. Thank you, everyone. Oh, yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and schedules to come today and voice your concerns and ideas in a respectful manner, of course. And thank you, everyone, for our leaders that have shown up today to answer questions. I just want to do a little housekeeping. There is snacks and coffee at the back of the room, gluten-free banana bread and brownies and crackers, help yourself. And bathrooms are down that hall to the right. So anyway, thank you all for showing up.
All right. At this point, I'll turn everything over to Supervisor Bushnell.
Thank you. Thanks for being patient while we got this meeting organized. I know that you all have a lot of questions of people that are here. I'm going to ask you to please be respectful. I know you want answers, but we are, they need to hear the question. You need to allow them to answer and to know that solutions are coming in. You know, it's not going to be today, but halfway. So we really want to be respectful of the folks that are here. Also, because this is a study session, we are not tied to strictly that 3 minutes. If you want to use your 3 minutes to answer a question, get an answer, maybe answer another question. But we're going to try to stay on that 3 minutes because there's a lot of folks. One of these 3 gentlemen may ask you a question. It's okay to answer if that's what they want to do. So it's not like the 3 minutes are done. Like we really want to have you guys feel heard and have some solutions come out of this. I'm going to pass it to the sheriff for introduction.
Good morning. I want to stand up so I can see everyone, okay? And I have a loud voice. Thank you for having me. It's really important that you all see your government working. I know that's part of the reason why we're here is because you don't see government enough here in your lives to take care of some of these issues and problems. So we're here to listen. We're here also to be realistic about what we can actually do. And it doesn't mean that there's not problems here. We want to be there to help you solve them. We want to be there to offer some ideas, but also work with you. Because that's what our number one goal here is, to work with this community to make sure that you all feel safe and that you all feel heard when there is a need for public safety to come there and address an issue. So it's very important be open and honest. I have thick skin. I hope you all realize that. None of you will make me cry today. So if you're upset about something, if you are you want to address something, go ahead and hit it square on. And then I may not have the answer for you, but I'll get it for you if I don't have that specifics. Okay. If you want to talk about a specific circumstance of how we let you down as a department, you might want to come talk to me at the very end because, yeah, we can hear it all together and that's fine. But if you want me to actually address a problem, I'm going to need to get some specific information and then I can follow up with you at a later date. But I'm looking forward to this. And again, we're always a phone call away. I'm always a phone call away as well. And if you want to address any of these individuals, call my office. So thank you for having me.
So I'm Michelle Bushnell, and most of you guys know me. I also stay out here often and love the Shelter Cove area. Again, for everybody coming and being patient while we got this meeting together.
Hi, my name's John Ford. I'm the Director of Planning and Building. Planning and Building also does include code enforcement. Sometimes I'm derogatorily called the Director of Code Enforcement, but we get to do all of those things. And so if you have concerns about what's happening or not happening on a piece of property, you can't get answers. My door is open. My door is open to staff. My door is open to the public. Lots of people contact me. If you find that, please take this correctly. Sometimes in the department, the planning and building department, there are doorkeepers there that try to protect me. But I don't want them to protect me so much that I'm isolated because it's important for me to be able to hear where we're not succeeding. And it's important for me to hear if we're failing. And so I do look forward to this today. Like the sheriff said, I think this is a tremendous opportunity to hear from you. I'm not afraid to hear that we failed you in some way. Your frustration, whatever it is, we will work on that. One of the things I want to say is that too often people have expectations that code enforcement gets addressed like that. And part of the strong plan, and I'm probably saying too much right now, I'll shut up for just a moment, but is that there's a process, and we have to go through a process. It doesn't mean we're not working on it. And so if you're not seeing action, please do communicate. Yes, sir.
Where's your door located?
My door is located. So unfortunately there, you're gonna have to come into the front door of the planning and building department. So I want to see the director and let them know that I invited you. And they'll come back and tell me that and I will come out to the
Phone number, this is introductions and we're gonna get to that at the end. They're gonna pass out their cards and we'll do that.
Morning, everybody. I am Gabriel Parker. I work out of the Garberville office. And for those of you who don't know, our Garberville office essentially covers all of southern Humboldt. We also cover northern Minnesota. That also includes Shelter Cove. I'm new to the southern Humboldt area. I worked for a long time. But glad to be here. Answer any questions I can. Just like the sheriff said, if there's something I don't have an answer to right now, I'll get an answer for you. Our up here at the front. But I'll make sure that all of our information gets thanks again for having me.
So I also asked Treasurer for folks to clarify a little bit for you guys the difference with CHP and with the Sheriff's Department and how they work together. And explain that a little bit.
Yeah. So the California Highway Patrol is your state law enforcement. They are state police. Primarily, their duties are to patrol the highways, here in Humboldt County. So they're going to take they're the primary in all the traffic accidents that occur, all of the penal code type crimes that occur within our jurisdiction, within Shelter Cove, will be the primary investigative agency for our community. It doesn't mean that CHP can't be that investigative agency, but there's not the primary. We may call them in because they need to be the closest unit to a disturbance call, to an issue here, and they may be primary to come in here and to settle the situation down, and then while we send people maybe from main station, maybe from another area of Southern Humboldt. So that's how we work sometimes, and it works that way for traffic accidents too. You may have a deputy show up for a traffic accident, but we'll hold the scene down, just like oftentimes fire does, hold the scene, and then wait for the highway to come in at a later. So I hope that explains. Plane wrecks? Goodness, yes. So, yes, unfortunately, we've had a few plane wrecks, I mean, we laugh about it, but my goodness, man, how tragic some of those accidents have been lately, right? And I've also been very lucky. Just looking on my call sheet over the last 3 years, we've had 8 reports of plane crashes. And sometimes that's just, someone on a hard landing or whatnot. But that is the significance here, and we know that. We are the primary jurisdiction investigative agency when it comes to initial plane crashes. Of course, we call in the NTSB to do the overall federal investigation, but oftentimes our first responders are the fire departments, right? Fire departments and our CERT teams that are here, they're the ones that are responding. They're the ones that are securing, that helping, doing the rescue operations, and then we're going to come in and we're going to be that primary investigative agency until the NTSB can come in.
Okay, so we got a list of questions. I'm going to look to the room to see if you guys just want to do questions and answers now of everyone, or if you want me to kind of go over the list that may address some of your questions. Does the board have a preference, Mike? What do y'all think?
Supervisor?
Okay.
What's the source of those questions? So that way, if folks, may have submitted questions, that way there's no kind of
So I got
carryover.
the questions from the RID. I think they were emailed. Most of them were emailed to Jessica or Chris. So I'm happy to, I think it's going to address a lot of things. So why don't I just start with the list? It's not very long, and whoever is appropriate to handle it, I'll call them and they can answer that. So the first one is community concerns received by the RID. The first one is loose dogs, and I think this is Sheriff.
Yes. So loose dogs, there's a county ordinance that's in place. You have to have control over your dog. You do not have a leash law here in the county, but you have to have direct control of your dog. So if you have a really good disciplined dog, you can walk your dog, and if he sits every time, you don't need a leash, then you're controlling your dog. But if you can't control your dog and it's running loose, then you will need a leash. And there is a violation there, as long as dog. So loose dogs, vicious dogs, all those things are part of our responsibility. We can come out, we can do that. We can, if there is a dog bite, we do take those investigations. It's very important that we document all those. Please share those with us, because the state law is in place that we have to sometimes have 2 attacks in order to actually put down an animal and declare them vicious. And so it takes sometimes that report. And so even if it's your neighbor, even if everyone is, on the same page about, oh my gosh, we're so sorry, we're going to take care of this, please report it. It's always good to document these things, for future reference. It's that first offense, we will have a bite hearing, we'll have an administrative person look at the evidence, and then making sure that you can control your animal, or that animal that did the bites. And they'll put some restrictions in place. And if we violate those, if someone violates that, then we can order, that something happens to the animal, and making sure that it doesn't happen again. We've seen some horrific accidents. We've seen horrific dog issues, within our county. We don't want to repeat those things. So please report them to us, and we'll investigate those.
So with that, I have gotten some concerns from folks, and are there questions around loose dogs? Raise your hand, please. Go ahead and stand up.
Okay, so we get visitors coming to the campground or Airbnb, and their dogs are trained, and they control them. But some of these people don't live in this kind of an area. So the minute their dog sees the deer, they're gone, and they're not listening.
Right.
And you see them chase them all the way down the golf course. And so, yeah, there's concerns about that. What do you do with that?
You can end up giving us a call. They're supposed to keep in control of their animals. You can even put signage up. Basically says, if you can't control your animals, law enforcement will be contacted.
Can we put those up at the campground?
You better believe it, yeah. If you can't control your dog, then you need to be on a leash. And that's including, so sometimes, yeah, these city folks, they don't understand, right? They don't understand the wild animals that we have just walking through. And so they need to stay in control of their dogs. So I think putting that signage up there, making it very clear, if they're checking into a campground, even putting that as a part of the camp rules, can totally help.
How about Airbnb putting it in their information?
So I'm sorry, but, I think, so any private property owner can put, no dogs or have leashes. Airbnb, we can, talk to Director Ford, we can monitor that. But, private property owners, especially if you have a dog, you should post that you have a dog, and, that's for your safety. And whoever owns the campground, if they don't want dogs there, they can also say no dogs. Anyways, any other questions about dogs? We only have 90 minutes, so I don't want to.
There's one online.
Okay.
Person named Eden. Eden, if you want to unmute and ask your question, please.
Yeah, thank you. My issue and concern, I'm a survivor of a severe level 5 dog mauling, and it happened because a caretaker had someone else's dog off leash. I ended up in the ER. My face almost got ripped off. I live in the Beach Spring Ridge neighborhood, and there are packs of dogs roaming free range all the time. I can't walk a block in either direction of my home without bolting from dogs. I am following through with all agencies, and I'm initiating a movement called Yellow Ribbon Dog Campaign and Initiative so that we can have healthy, vibrant public spaces for humans and dogs. And I hope that all agencies will work with me on this. It's very hard to heal when there's big packs of dogs just roaming free range. And I've had animal control tell me, you need to have other people call us in order for us to come out. And I'm complaining, but I want to be part of the solution. And I just wonder what we can do as a community to have healthy, public, vibrant spaces. It doesn't feel good when your face gets mauled. I will say that much, community.
Thank you for that. And so it doesn't take a community to call when there's an issue when it comes to a pack of dogs. What you just have to say when you call us is that this is an ongoing issue. That every day I walk outside and there's 4 animals. These are the description of the animals. You will provide pictures for us, which will be helpful because we're gonna run around the neighborhood. And if we see the 4 dogs, around, and we know these are back at a house. Sometimes we get there and they're back at their house, and so that's that opportunity that we can have to have that conversation to advise the homeowner, the dog owner. You got to secure the dogs. If the dogs are found out, we're going to take the dogs and hold them until you can secure them. You have a question, sir?
Yes. Is there anything that we can do as a community to make it punishable for anyone who has a dog on off? I live on the dog. Numerous dogs walking around. A man told me that a couple of years ago, one of these dogs off the leash attacked his dog and killed it.
Yeah.
And I think by posting something on your property that says no dog, I don't think people pay attention.
Yeah.
So I think this is a serious problem for us in the community. There were a couple of votes that they got. Personally, I'm pretty serious. Anyway, that would be important.
Right.
If we could somehow, community, make that more important. Put up huge signs.
Yeah.
No dogs free.
I'm not sure as far as legality goes, but as a part of your resort improvement district, having a civil penalty for a rule such as having, every dog needs to be on a leash and under control, that may be a possibility that you guys can look at that and then administratively fine people, for doing this. Now, who's going to hand out the fines?
Well, I do think that what the sheriff is saying, you guys are very blessed to have your own form of government, your RID, and you have CCNRs out here, and this could be be incorporated to them. And there could be rules that the board comes with, along with their rules that are already out there for animals that can be enforced. So I think that's a unique situation that you guys are able to have.
The RID is a utility district. It has no heat at all. So how, I'm just saying.
Okay, so there are similar other kind of issues. Trinidad has the same issue, okay? And we are actually working on updating the ordinance. And so it was originally, we're talking about creating areas within Humboldt County that are leash law governed. Trinidad would be one of them. Maybe there was.
The Trinidad is incorporated.
Yes, right. But there's
That's
other
the
areas
problem.
outside.
There's a
Trinidad.
big misnomer that the RID is actually some kind of town council or something.
Sure.
It really is.
Right, but I'm talking
It's not
about
in their bylaws or anything.
I'm talking about the beach and those kind of things. We talk about Mad River the same way, Samoa. We can talk about Shelter Cove same way, and so we can carve out different areas. I think that is part of the legislation change here in our.
Director Ford is going to talk about some things around dogs as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of ask, I know the RD is not done, but I do believe you've got CCNRs within Shelter Cove Road. There are no CCNRs.
There are. I've seen them and I've read them.
So I would encourage you, one of the things that you can do is take a little bit more, and this is where the sheriff was trying to go, to have some more local authority, local control, that matches the community values. To look at those CCRs, kind of refresh them in your mind, and see if that reflects and addresses the things that are important to you and the community. And then the CCNRs need to be implemented, right? Because one of the things that happens is that they're this beautiful document that then gets put in a file someplace, hopefully it's not round. But they don't get looked at. And one of the things that needs to happen is there does need to be kind of a governing body, not a town council or anything, but it could be the RID, that would be responsible for making sure that they're implemented and making decisions about how they get applied. So that is something that you do have some authority to do and some power over. And I don't want to completely divest the county's responsibility in dealing with our issues. But I do want to empower you to think about some ways that you can have some additional local control.
What is a CPR?
Yeah.
It's subdivision codes, mostly around subdivisions. It could be fences, designs, all kinds of things that are usually created when you have large subdivisions. And I'm going to get the document for Chris. He already asked me once, and I apologize. I will get it. Is this around dogs?
It's actually in response to the report's comment.
Okay, we're good. We're kind of on the dog thing right now.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
It's about the CCNR. Our RID is already underfunded and understaffed. So adding another layer of responsibility, it would be mandatory.
Well, as he said, it would be in collaboration, and it would just be something else that could be, county could look at that and say, the RID has, that the county utilizes in, conjunction with the RID.
So the county would work.
I'm not, so we're hearing your concerns, and we're gonna try to figure out a pathway forward, and that's why we're having this. And dogs are a big one. I hear a lot about dogs. I know the sheriff does as well. And so definitely we're gonna be trying to come to a pathway. And I think, I'll commit to having a meeting down the road and, with our solutions that will be recorded so that you guys know something that's happening and just not just hear yourself talk. That's frustrating as well. Go ahead.
Sheriff Counsel, can you use a firearm or samurai sword to protect yourself from a dog? I'm serious.
Oh, I know you're serious. Yeah, sure. So the question was, can you use a weapon to protect yourself against a vicious animal, right? So you can do what you need to do to protect yourself, but you have to have those articulable facts. Why did you feel in fear? Why did you feel attacked? All those things are going to be questions that an investigating officer is going to talk to you about if you use that level of force to, shoot at an animal or kill an animal. So that's, as a person affected, if you have a CCW, if you're on your home property and you have a firearm and you have any animal, whether it's a mountain lion, a wolf, a dog, attack you or attack your livestock, you can do what you can to protect your family, someone else, yourself, or your livestock with a firearm or a weapon.
So is your dog considered livestock if your dog's attacked by another dog?
So yes, it is your property. Okay, it's more articulable when you have. Hello, how are you? When you have livestock as a so that's really what comes out.
Well, I was thinking about more about the people that walk a lot, because I heard from people that walk that the dogs challenge them and stuff. So,
yeah,
some people won't have a CCW.
Right.
But they still out, and they still defend themselves.
They can still defend themselves. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, once again, we only have 90 minutes, and I want to try to get through this stuff. Christine, can I have you take a seat, please? Okay, but I'm going to ask you to take a seat with the audience, just like everybody else. Okay, we can get you a chair. There aren't any rules here yet. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll come back to that. So we're going to go on to the next question, and that doesn't mean we can't come back to dogs once we get through this and you guys are able to ask some of your stuff. This is a big one, and direct support's going to take this. Lack of code enforcement on unpermitted structures, people on parcels without septic, sewer, or portable toilet facilities, including new waterways. So this is a planning and building item, and direct support's going to address it.
Thanks. This manifests in a lot of different ways. I understand that. So first, let me say that by direction of the Board of Supervisors, we respond to complaints, and we don't go out and proactively seek out violations. I just want to make that clear. So if you see things out there that look like they're in really bad shape and are, and nobody's doing anything about it, it could be simply that we haven't made a complaint. Now, that being said, I can understand there being concern that you've made a complaint and you don't see anything happening really quickly. And what we normally do with respect to a complaint is if we have a complaint about a building code matter, I'm out of here. Stop it.
Wait, hold on. This is a community meeting and everybody is welcome. Christine, I'm going to ask you not to pass that stuff out because this meeting is not about you. Excuse me. We're not doing this. We're going to allow these folks to answer questions. If a question is about bad response time, then it's going to be directed here. It's not directed there. Please do not hand that stuff out. Nick is getting you a chair. You're just like every.
to do with zoning
I don't care. We are not there yet. Okay, I'm going to ask you to take a seat.
All right.
Thank you.
This format.
Okay, this is gonna be controlled or we're not gonna have this meeting. I'm sorry, it has to be that way though. To get things figured out. My seat. Okay.
Here.
No, Nick is sitting in her chair. Nick is sitting in her chair. Fine, Nick will be back with the chair. We're right behind you. We're gonna continue with code enforcement. Okay? Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Go ahead, John.
So the normal process
About the fact that there is a unpermitted building or a dilapidated structure, no septic. I'm gonna address people living on the parcels without any utilities or anything separate. I know there's a lot of camping and that's a separate. But our normal process is the first first thing we do is we send the property owner a letter and say, there's been a complaint, we don't identify who the complainant is. We send a letter saying there's been a complaint, and, you know, we would like to come and verify that for ourselves. We ask for permission to come on the property and to come and inspect the property, and if they agree to that, we typically send out a building inspector and a code compliance either officer or an investigator. And so they go and look to verify whether or not a complaint exists. And as you know, there are situations where, yeah, there's really a problem. And so then we try to work with the property owner to see if they will resolve it themselves. And this is where frustration comes, because they're willing to. We want to give them the opportunity to fix it themselves. There's a couple of reasons for this. Number one is that people have to go to the effort of cleaning things up and fixing it themselves. They tend to not want to go through that again. And so it doesn't just go right back to the same situation. However, if they're not willing to do that, we progress to the next level of issuing a notice to abate, which is a notice saying you have 10 days to clean this up, or the county has the ability to do it, and we may also issue a notice of violation, which can apply fees and penalties. Ahead of myself. If they won't give us the ability to come and voluntarily inspect, they don't agree to it, we then go to the court and we ask the judge to give us a warrant to get on the property. So one of the things I want to just stop right there for a pause and say, you can tell that when we get into this process, it can take some time because people's rights have to be protected. Okay, even if they're messing up the neighborhood, they still have rights, and we need to respect those. So if they won't clean it up, then we'll go through the process of issuing a notice to abate, and then what that gives us the ability to do is that if we have to, the county will clean it up. Now, I assume this is on here because we haven't got the things, or there doesn't appear to be action. One of the things I'm going to say, I'm going to give you my phone number and I'm going to give you my email. And if you want to come up to me after the meeting today and give the addresses and things you're concerned about, I am happy to look at those. I'm happy to. It's funny how being the director, you get to kind of help people to get with certain things and they do it. And so I'm happy to look into it. I'm happy to try to figure out what's going on. Absolutely want to meet the needs of the community. My desk number is 707-268-3738. That rings right next to where I said. My 707-268-3738. My email is jford, F-O-R-D, at co.humboldt.ca.us. And as the sheriff said, we're all here because we want to make this better. And one of the things that I often say is if I don't know about something, I can't. And if there's things that are not getting addressed, I'm happy to do that. Now, I want to address one more thing on the list, which is, you know, we've had a number of places where people are camping on property. And where we've had complaints, we've gone out and we worked with the sheriff's office because we don't have the power to evict. But the sheriff can with the agreement or request, I believe it is actually of the property owner. And the one thing about these things that you gotta keep in mind is always the proper responsibility of maintaining the property. And so when there's people camping on the property, we approach the property owner about it and talk about ways to address that. And the first step usually is to have the people removed from the property, evicted, and then to work to clean the property. And sometimes that takes some time too. Even if there's nothing going on, it doesn't mean we're not working on it.
I also want to say that a lot of folks have referenced to me that Warren Black is the head of code enforcement and he knows about it and nothing's getting done. Warren is not the head of code enforcement. He does work in the code enforcement division. And so what Director Ford just gave you is a direct link to him, who is Warren's boss, and a direct email to him. So you can't assume that Don knows because Warren knows. That isn't what happened. And so he's wanting to make sure that if there are things that are not getting done, that he's giving you guys an opportunity for him to know so that he can talk to Warren or for the other folks in code enforcement. So we're going to take some questions about code enforcement, and we're going to start with you first.
I have some issues with code enforcement, specifically someone in this room that rips my hair out. I'm going to be in Eureka tomorrow. Will you be in your office?
Yes, I will be.
May I have your card so I know exactly? I have to leave this meeting early today, but I will be there to file a complaint. If no one else, and if Warren Black hasn't passed on the complaint that's been given to him, then maybe you should address it with him. But I'll make sure that by tomorrow, you know, I'll be in Eureka tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your name?
Mary Jo Afey.
Mary Jo?
Afey is the last name.
Thank you. I will see you tomorrow.
Mary Jo, they close at 2, so you have to get there by. Mary Jo, did you hear me? They close at 2. You have to get there before 2.
Hey, Mary Jo, did Officer Luna give you a call?
No.
Thank you.
Right here. Go ahead.
You know where we live up on top. And there's cul-de-sacs.
Can you stand up?
Oh.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
There's cul-de-sacs up by us because we're up on the top. And in one of the cul-de-sacs, there's at least 8. And they're tweakers, is what they are. They're not camping, they're living. And one of these days, they've already done it. What was it, 2 years ago? We had a fire up there because of these characters that are up there. And it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. There's no doubt in my mind. They don't care. Just like where they have nothing to lose. So they behave so badly. You know?
Back over here.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Right over here. That's the one.
That's the one.
I
don't know what you're saying about me.
badly because they have nothing to lose.
Are they the
And we
property
do.
owner?
I'm sorry?
Are they the property owner?
No.
They're squatting.
On the cul-de-sac.
And they're all over up there because they know they can get away with it. When you first come in to talk, there's a gentleman that's been living there for
10 years?
15 years at least. And I've seen patrol officers there, but they're still there. They have no permits. They live in a trailer. They poop in our woods. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these people over on Warden Court,
What's the court name?
Warden,
Okay. They're writing down is why I'm asking.
Lindley Loop is another one.
274 Combs is Christina's address.
We're not gonna do that.
Why don't you try?
No, stop.
Why don't you get me?
No, stop.
Stop.
Mary Jo.
So thank you for that. Have you
Yes,
filed complaints?
yes.
And we haven't done anything about it. That's a perfect, thank you so much. That's absolutely the kind of thing I want to know about. Because I think what's gonna happen is that we're gonna have to coordinate with the sheriff's office. We have regular meetings with them about really tough situations. And we coordinate how to address that. So this will now become part of that topic of discussion. So thank you.
Well, we've called the sheriff, and I know Sheriff Ponce, and I know he's a great man, and he did not know what's going on.
So you, I want to reference that because you were told that he knew, and this is the same for the director. And let's say you guys get a hold of them in person. They often don't find out, and so this is why they're here today. Yeah. So thank you. We're gonna go over here.
I just wanted to ask what the approach the squatters is going to be. You know, from the county's aspect of it.
Yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're gonna develop a strategy to have the people removed, evicted from the site. We've got to work with the property owner to get their request to do that. And then there's steps to be taken they'll get removed from the site, and then we'll work with the property owner to see if they're willing to clean the site up and secure the site, because you can't, it continues to be an attractive nuisance. You just have this repetitive cycle that goes on and on again. We want to stop that. So I don't have an exact answer for you now. I don't know if the sheriff does, but we will go through the process of seeing that they get removed from the site, seeing the property get cleaned up to the extent feasible, seeing if we can't make some changes up there so that it's not an attractive place for them.
Just real quick. So the easiest thing for us to do is when we have a property like this, is have the property owner sign a, basically a trespass order, that anyone on their property, we can enforce trespassing on. It has to be a notarized letter now. And once we have that notarized letter on file, then we can act on behalf of the property owner. So some of these places, we can't track down the property owner, right? The property owner is not contacted. They refuse contact with us, and we can't get that signed letter. So then we have to go to maybe unpermitted structures. We have to go to a public health issue, like, defecating in the woods, those kind of things. We can use those kind of issues to start providing a paper trail to then force these people off the property, and then also send fines to the property owner, to make sure that something does happen with that.
Okay, we're gonna go right here first, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. This issue in southern Humboldt is pretty widespread. I don't have any personal issues, but what would make sense to me, one of the issues is people make complaints and they don't know where it is. And yeah, you're very generous to offer your phone number and your time, but you can't have everyone in the whole county calling you every day. Right? So what would be helpful is if once a complaint exceeds a certain threshold, there's now a website where the status and the next steps are published, so people can see, okay, what's the status of my complaint?
So we do have a program that's called Excella, and you can get into Excella Citizens Access. You cannot see all the information on the code enforcement action, but you can see the action that's there in the steps.
I'm sorry, the action of what?
You can see that there's a code enforcement case, and you can see the status within Excella Citizens Access.
So you just Google that, you look that up like a www, and then you can go on there, and it'll, like if there, you go to planning and building.
Right, I'm familiar with this, but then it would just say active or not, right?
Well,
it would say that there's about 6 or 7 different statuses. Okay. So when complaint received, they're under investigation, we're starting to look at it. There's something that we call issue notices, which means that we've gotten to the point where there's clearly a violation there and the property owner is not willing to deal with it, so go ahead and issue the notice to abate, notice of violation, or a compliance agreement where the property owner has agreed to clean it up, but they need a little bit of time to going to the administrative law judge.
Well, that's something, so it's good to let people know. Maybe everyone knows what's happening.
Probably not.
Okay, we're gonna go here and then back to you.
I could tell you the story of my house being shot at 5 times.
Okay, I'm gonna remind you that we have 3 minutes, and Mike is, okay.
We are showing.
On this, and he said, if you didn't photograph the individual holding the gun, there was nothing that you could do. At the same time, with one of these people in my neighborhood were coming on the property and destroying plantings. Over and over again, we asked her to leave. She wouldn't leave. She left tools that she was using there on the property. I took them inside so she couldn't go on, and then I get a call from the sheriff saying that I will be arrested for theft because I took her tools. So
He's lying.
This is not cause and effect is not working.
Right.
It's just plain not working.
So what I understand is that, so I reviewed the report, and what I understand is that a gunshot was heard. Okay, a gunshot, no one saw anything, but they heard a gunshot. And just hearing a gunshot without any evidence to say where that gunshot came from, we can't act on that.
I want to say something.
Wait. One second, okay? It's very important, okay? Because, we have to act, we have to,
Raise your hand
yes,
and
I
I'll call on you,
understand,
please.
I understand public safety is very important, but we also have to act on evidence, right? We hear a gunshot, yes, we are going to respond, we want to investigate that, right? But then you heard,
That's not how it went down.
okay. So I understand you have specific, this is what I'm talking about. If you have specific issues, we can talk about it afterwards. But we have to understand as far as, when someone reports a gunshot, they hear a gunshot, we have to actually know where that gunshot came from, right? Now, if you're in a bullet hole in your house, then yes, obviously we're investigating that. We can determine that definitely someone shot at your house. We have the bullet hole and possibly the bullets, to take as evidence. But just hearing a gunshot in your area without any other evidence to show that that was a gunshot, as opposed to a firework or a backfire, or maybe it was shot in the air, maybe someone shot in a different direction. We can't necessarily act on that alone.
So blood has to be flowing before you can do something?
That's not what I said. I said evidence. No, I said evidence. Okay, so someone has to witness that. Or there has to be some independent evidence. Shell piece on the ground. Again, a bullet hole.
You don't come look for it.
Hold on, we're not doing that, please.
Well, again, we can. I'm sorry.
I don't think anyone came to look for any shots. Am I wrong? No one came out.
Okay, you guys, please, so the sheriff is gonna be here after, and so we're trying to give everybody that 3 minutes. He's addressing this gentleman, and then I know this is frustrating, but he will be here after for specific incidences, and you guys can talk to him.
Right. So a gunshot was heard, and then and then 5 gunshots were heard. Our deputies, we expect that someone to come out on that when we know that there was gunshots. Okay. And so if the deputy did not come out, then we failed to do our job. Okay. We live in a county, and we do have a lot of people that call in what they think are gunshots. And when in reality, they're not gunshots, or we can't track them down. And that's the reality. They're everywhere. Okay.
Your time,
and
sir.
so we're gonna do our best.
You'll
But
have another chance.
we have to act on that evidence. Did you locate any bullet holes in your property?
No,
Did you locate any shell casings near your property?
no,
Do you have any other evidence besides what you heard to determine where those shots came from?
I saw the person.
Okay. Did you see, that's not what was reported as. You saw a person with a gun in their hand?
No.
Okay.
I went back in the house when they were shooting. I was not gonna go photograph this because there's shooting going on. I went back in the house and called you.
I understand. So seeing someone, but also if there's not a gun in their hand, okay, there's again, I'm trying to actually provide you some guidance right here. And unfortunately, yeah, we have to have an independent, you have to go into court to prove that someone did this. Someone has to go into court and witness, I saw X person with a gun in their hand shoot in my direction. That's assault with a deadly weapon. We can act on that. We can take someone to jail based upon what you said. Okay? Just hearing gunshots in an area, we don't have the evidence to detain. Well, I'm just trying, again, you're saying that's, I'm trying to provide you some information so that you may have to put cameras, you may have to do something else in order to provide us that evidence.
I'll talk about this.
Sure.
Okay, so sir, I'm gonna ask you to maybe talk with the sheriff after, and so that everybody has a chance, because again, we're on a time. I know
All
you're.
of my time was used here. I didn't use it.
Yes, I'll listen.
The information that came out of my mouth was not 3 minutes.
I understand, sir. You can, Billy will talk.
Was there another question that you had?
Well, when Tom Allman was the
Sure.
resident sheriff here, we didn't have this problem. It was a local call, and Tom came out and settled it in a few hours.
Oh, I believe it. Tom was great, right? Tom was a very special individual that agreed to come here for this resident deputy position. Unfortunately, our staffing level does not provide an opportunity to have a resident deputy located here in Shelter Cove. We don't have the calls for service here. We don't have the, the ability to put a resident deputy here. And I understand that that is a rub. Believe me, I love Tom. And when he called me up and says, hey, I want to be the resident deputy at Shelter Cove, I got him here as quick as possible because he's great. I know he was awesome, but it was short-lived. It was 9 months. And so, but a guy made an impact in 9 months. I totally agree. And I wish I could duplicate that. I wish I could provide that to the community because if I had someone available, I would make a position available, but I don't.
We're over here, and I'm trying to bring it back to code enforcement because that's where the conversation that we were on.
So I think one of the problems that everybody's having here is that you treat every incident like it's an isolated incident. You're hearing, oh, in our Shelter Cove region, we hear gunshots, and that may be the case, but there's lots of dots out there on the wall. Code enforcement's got some, sheriff's got some, RID's got some. We are all trying to point them out to you. And those dots are painting a really clear picture, but everybody's standing up and saying, I see my dots, and that's all I'm allowed to see, and I can't do anything until I get the whole picture. But there's no communication amongst you guys, and every time that we complain, you tell us that it's our responsibility to collect more evidence, to go back through the system to try to do this or to do that or to do the other thing. So what kind of a system can you create so that you can recognize that, yes, we hear gunshots in Shelter Cove, but there's an issue going on in that part of Shelter Cove right now, and those gunshots might mean more than a random person shooting at a raccoon.
I never
somewhere.
shot. Sit down.
That's what community policing is. And we're really pleading. We don't have the answers, but we're pleading for, as a community, look at the turnout that we have here. It's not about this incident or that incident. It's about somebody recognizing that there are a pattern of incidences and using the tools that you have available to you as multiple agencies to do something about that. Nobody wants draconian enforcement of every unpermitted camper or person sitting here. What we want is the people that are causing problems in our community to have some sort of repercussions to that. We think you have some tools to do that with, but you can't do it because the individual incidents that you always cite don't add up to enough of a nuisance. And nobody wants those individuals to be enough. But when there's multiple, how do you get together? And how do you tell us that you're getting together and get the information back to us so we can hear about what's being done? And that will help lower our temperature, prevent things from getting out of hand, because things have already started to get out of hand. And nobody wants that to be the way that the community is policing itself.
So Director Ford's going to take a shot at that, and then maybe the sheriff or CHP want to get in here?
I appreciate your comments about wanting to know what feedback is. Because frankly,
one of the things I know that happens in government is that it's a big black box. And if you don't see things happening, it appears that things happen, even if things aren't. So one of the things we need to do, I think based upon hearing what you said, is develop a feedback. And maybe it's with the general manager of the RID to provide information back. I don't know exactly how that gets done. But I mean, certainly from a code enforcement standpoint, I know that we meet with the sheriff's office, talk about the major problem properties, have no problem. At least I'll let the sheriff speak for the sheriff's office. But we'd be happy to give you feedback on what we're doing. Because I hear the frustration in your voice. I heard the clapping. I know that you're not feeling heard, and that creates a lot of frustration. And like Supervisor Bushnell said earlier, we're not going to fix that today by snapping our fingers or giving empty promises. It's really going to have to come about with earning the ability to communicate and earning some trust that we're working on.
Hold on, do you want a question?
Yes.
Okay, the sheriff also.
Thank you. I understand your frustration. I get it. When it comes down to it, we have to act independently based upon the evidence that's presented to us. It doesn't mean that there's not a problem. It doesn't mean that, and there's a lot of things that we're doing maybe behind the scenes that you really aren't allowed to know what's going on. And but if someone commits a crime and we can act on it, we will act on that. Now, what I'm gonna do after this meeting is we're gonna make sure that a deputy does follow up with you and talks with you, talks to your neighbors to make sure that we can address this. And we understand a clear understanding about how we move forward. What's going to be the expectation? You know, what can you do? When should you call? And then what response will you get? You know, when you do call for a deputy sheriff to come out when there's a crime report. And so that documentation will be there. And there's also civil ways that they can advise you on to take, you know, matters into your own hands and to go file a restraining order, go file a different civil complaint, and that kind of thing. So all those things are tools that we give not only you, but other people in our community that have similar issues and problems that they can address. So it is one of those things. I don't have a magic pill that, you know, we can not one size fits all in every situation. And so we'll do our best to come out and address the issues. We'll do our best to advise you. But we're going to tell you exactly what it's going to take for us to, you know, prosecute someone or bring charges against someone or arrest someone. And so you know exactly what will happen.
Okay, Jeff is gonna go, and then we're going back here, and then to Michael, then to here. And if you have your hand raised, you can speak for 3 minutes. Do you have your hand raised? Oh, okay.
So, Director Ford, yeah, I really think that you kind of hit it in the head, to be honest with you. And if Mr. Hansel would agrees too, but I think that having Chris involved in some of those meetings will really help our community on the feedback issue. I think that it is our face to us, and he talks to us once a month where we have a meeting. I think that feedback can really help, as Chris said, you know, lower the temperature. So if there's agreement, I would love to see Chris involved.
And we also have the county correspondence.
Yeah. Okay, back here.
Yeah, I want to ask, Sheriff, this is directed towards you. In big cities, don't they have these technologies where they can pinpoint where a gunshot is fired? Yeah. How easy is that to implement here? And, you know, like this gentleman was talking about, this area is getting. Oh, yeah. So that you don't always have to have an officer come out and say, look, we've done this 10 times. 10 times they've done this. And we've got the record up to show it. So maybe you can pinpoint a little bit closer to where that gunshot.
So when the officer does come, he's got a record, he's got some tools to work with.
Absolutely. So there is technology out there. And
is it expensive?
There is basically 4 microphones that you have to set up in your community, and it triangulates the gunshots, you know, exactly to a meter, essentially. Depends on where the microphones are set up. But in an area like Shelter Cove, I think it could be fairly easily set up. But it's, gosh, I forget the name of the company, but it's really easy to Google it and figure it out. So ShotSpotter, that's exactly what it is. That's it. So Sacramento has it. A lot of big cities do have it. It does work. It's very effective. And so it's, yeah. I don't know how much it costs. I really don't.
Microphones, it shouldn't cost that much.
It shouldn't, but you'd be surprised. You know, anything marketed to governments, there's a lot of money inside to it. But.
We're gonna go to Michael.
Yes, first, thank you guys for coming today. I've been in Shelter Cove for 30 years or so, and out of most of those years, I'm very civically involved here in the Cove and cross over the county as needed. I've met with each one of you in your past, always appreciate visiting with you and trying to find some solutions. The frustrations that you hear here, I can tell you, I've been on the board, Red Board for 12 years, Property Owner Association president for 23, fighting these same issues, hearing these same stories, all those years with the same result, pretty much, with no offense to any of you. I know you're busy and trying harder and you have a process to go through. But I can tell you in the past, we've had people shooting at lights and other things and at people, and it wasn't until someone was shot that sheriff showed up. Person's dead. Code enforcement the same way. I can't tell you how much time I've spent with others trying to enforce codes, especially in squatters and this sort of thing. Appreciate John always, but we've got to find some solutions. Michelle said, you know, we won't do that today.
We haven't done it in 30 years that I'm aware of. And that is the community's frustration. So we need to find something, some way to mitigate this, because this is an escalating public safety issue. And before somebody gets seriously hurt or killed, as they have in the past, because nothing was done, that's where I'm afraid we're headed for now again. And as soon as the community has had enough and they go out and exercise something to take care of it, and somebody gets seriously hurt or killed, you're going to be the first one out here to arrest one of us that did that, when we need to stop it before it gets there. So please, please, try to make this meeting a little different than all of the ones I've ever been to in the past, facilitated myself. And thanks for the districts for facilitating this. We appreciate it. Thank you.
I do want to say one thing. So we are your sheriff's office, okay? And I want to say that, I know we don't bat 1,000 every single time, right? And by not having a deputy respond to your location to take your report is an issue. It always is. Sometimes deputies, because of the distance, they want to make a phone call and they want to verify. They want to talk to you on the phone. And oftentimes they said, there's not much I can do, for you. I can take a phone report. The thing is, we work for you. And I want you to understand that. And say, I want you to come to my location and take a report. I need face-to-face contact to share what I need to share with you. It's very important that happens. Okay, that's my expectation. And that's what I tell the sergeants to make sure. But unfortunately, there's times when deputies, are out of position, or there's something else going on in another part of the county, and they just want to pick up a phone and make the easy route contact via phone. I think it's a horrible way of doing police work. And so it's really important that we make that personal contact. It's okay to say, I want face-to-face contact. You're not rubbing feathers. That's exactly what we want. And every contact is recorded via body camera. Okay, so if we're not living up to expectations, we'll go and look at that body camera and we'll see whether or not the deputy did their very best in the investigation. So please hold us accountable. Please let people know that this is my expectation, and so don't take no for an answer when it comes to that.
Michael, I do want to say that I didn't mean that nothing will come of this meeting. I mean, it's not going to change today, but I'm hopeful that a path forward and check-ins and action will come out of this.
I appreciate that. What I'm saying is, with all due respect to you and
everybody's
here, that's exactly what I heard and others that worked with me over the years.
Yes.
I want to address a little bit on the sheriff. Hansel with the resident deputy, since we don't have one for years.
So I'm going to take a little bit of ownership of the resident deputy, and I'm going to share it with their 5 boards of supervisors. The sheriff's budget has been under attack for some time. He is the biggest general fund user, and my board has said enough. And so he is very limited on street deputies. And so and you guys can holler at me and holler at my board. He would appreciate it, but it is really a budget issue right now, and it is a bad one.
Anecdote to that very same thing, because typically all those, years I was doing it, what we heard were a remote area, limited staff, limited budget, always. We went out and tried to do a couple of things. One, qualify for your resident, what do they call, I don't know what the acronym is anymore, where community
grant.
Yeah, where you're driving around in a patrol car and you got people take, what is that called?
Citizens advisory.
Patrol.
Yes.
We tried to qualify for that, couldn't qualify for that. Okay. Then we went and tried to get a line item on the county budget where Shelter Cove could make donations, either from our organizations or from individuals, to not only augment to support the cost of putting someone here in Shelter Cove. At one point, we had a home for them and all the rest of this. Again, we've done these things to try to help out in all those areas, and here we are, for me, 30 years later, having this conversation. And I worked hard with all of your predecessors, all the way back to Roger Rodoni and Sheriff and all the way. Maybe not John, you've been there for a long
Maybe
time
you're
as I
just
know.
jinxing and you don't want to
But-
do what you say.
So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that this is the source of some of this.
Oh, yeah.
Exhausted.
Yes, for sure. And one of the things that, I'll feedback on what Michelle said as far as the budget issue. Measure Z passed. This community helped with a tax measure. And one of the things on the tax measure was what? Resident deputies. Okay? Funding resident deputies. It's not just you, it's Bridgeville, it's Warwick, and it's Willow Creek, Wichita area. That was part of Measure Z. That was the promise. Guess what? Those positions have been swept away because I had 16 positions eliminated from general fund. And you know what they're doing now? They're using Measure Z funds to fund those general fund positions. So this is the problem with no oversight here, from areas like this. Now, again, fire, I still benefit from Measure Z too. Fire benefits from Measure Z. But the fact is that the general fund should also fully be committed to funding our sheriff positions and not dipping into what we promised our community. But that's a board issue. Michelle's always been a fighter for that, but she's one of 5 votes. And we have the other sides, that have, Arcata, Eureka, McKinleyville, that they don't really need, that rural, deputy sheriffs out there. And so they're not really too keen on that. And so cutting back on deputy sheriffs isn't a big deal to them, but it's a big deal to us out here, isn't it?
Yeah. And we're gonna keep it not personal, please. I know.
I want to explain to you, I can't talk to you personally after, because I have to leave. We're having some issues local where I live. There's probably at least a half a dozen people here that have been threatened, attacked, hassled by this person who lives in an unpermitted structure. I'm going to speak of the 2 instances I had. The first one was a threatening letter left on my car. I called in, faxed it to him, fine. The next time my neighbor calls me, can you please come down? This nutso is here. And so I went down there. I've never been in a fight. I've never hit anybody in my life.
Wait,
This woman attacked my neighbor. There was 3 of us there. She ripped out my hair, threw my glasses down the road. We all called the sheriff. Do you have pictures? That's what they want, pictures. We're like, what? There's 3 of us telling you what went on. Well, so they sent out one sheriff, talked to all 3 of us. And when they left me, I was the 3rd, said, well, I probably won't be able to find her. So
Which deputy was this?
honestly, I don't know right off the top of my head.
Hold on.
It was a first name that was the last
Tyler
name.
James, he's a great guy.
So anyway, I called back and said, look, I want to press charges. This is ridiculous. And they said, oh, well, the DA will decide whether you can press charges or not. We'll get back to you. This happened on June 2nd. No one has ever gotten back to me. Now, since then, this gentleman was shots fired. These people have been hassled beyond belief by the same person who lives in an unpermitted structure that was reported, but nothing's ever been done. Now, since this whole thing started, we met with Michelle. Last week, I saw a sheriff going down to her house with a state car behind her. I'm sure it was probably people trying to see what she was about. But that's the only time. Now, there was one other instance that she called the sheriff over a pop tire, and they sent out 2 sheriffs for that. 2. And then she said that my husband did it, so they came straight up to our house.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
Hold on. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you get my point.
Yeah.
And you understand, you can look all that up, and please talk to some other people. Like I said, I have to leave, and I'm very sorry if I took more time.
No, you're okay. You're still within your time.
But you know what? We are all tired of being hassled by someone who shouldn't be there. And they won't do anything about her, but they come to us because we own a home and they know where we live. Not right.
She uses the system.
Hold on, you guys. I'm sorry. Everybody, wait. Stop, please. We cannot accomplish anything doing this. Christy, you have 3 minutes. Stand up if you want to talk, or I'm gonna go on. No, this is your chance. You were in line.
My last one?
3 minutes.
You should.
Hey, stop it.
Okay, I'm Christine Rose. I'm the one everybody's talking about. Okay?
The timer.
And they're lying about me. I've been targeted
Do you,
by.
I want you to address the sheriff or
Needs
code
to be on
enforcement, or
target.
be
I
quiet,
am.
please.
These guys. all
Let's
this-
see it.
No, stop. I'm gonna,
That's
I'm
not
gonna
a
wait.
topic.
No, stop.
This is
Stop.
what they're running.
Hold on, hold on. Hey, listen, I am moderating, not you, and I apologize. Let her have her 3 minutes. Y'all have 2. Please address, Christine, you're gonna address that group of folks. Okay? Get back to your spot, please. Okay, thank you. You've got 3 minutes.
I think I need.
Do you have a question for them?
I just want to say that the sheriff's office is doing a stand-up job out here. These people are spoiled and they just want everybody to come out at every little whimper. These people here are a bunch of criminals and I'm gonna prove it. Yeah. And
You guys aren't helping. I'm sorry.
you can laugh all you want. These guys have motivation in life because they are running this cold
It's
business
not on topic.
using oil. Okay?
Do you have a question
They're in
for the sheriff?
violation.
Do you
What are we
have a
talking
question?
about?
Stop, please. Please,
All right.
Okay.
ask the
I was hit.
question.
I was attacked on June 2nd by Mary Amy and Jay.
Listen,
Vincent.
hold on. You
I
can't-
found the sheriff
No,
about it.
no,
It's in my police reports. I'm the victim.
Hold on,
Not them.
hold on. If you have a question about a personal incident that happened, the sheriff is gonna talk to you after this meeting. If you have a broader statement about lack of response or something that you need, hold on, you guys. You guys, please address that, okay? And you're getting timed as well. And the sheriff is gonna be here after as well as.
I think I've had great response.
Go ahead.
Now, I haven't got everything I wanted. I didn't get it, people in trouble like they should have, I felt like should have got in trouble. But I had a good response. I haven't had any trouble. They don't like me. They're not on my side. They heard all the rumors and all the gossip. Okay, so they got their backs up to me too. But these people don't know me. I've talked to these trash people right here with the reactor.
Are you talking to the sheriff?
I have talked to them one time in 2.5 years, only once. I've never had a conversation
Are
with
you
this
talking
lady.
to the sheriff?
These people are conspiring me. I have transcribed the Rid Board meeting minutes where they conspired to frame me. And I'm gonna be presenting that to the sheriff for prosecution.
Okay, so you can talk to the sheriff after about your personal issue. Thank you.
And this is where their new reactor is in their shed.
Okay.
They're gonna blow it up, kill us all.
Okay, I'm gonna change the subject a little bit, and we're gonna talk about 911 does not connect currently when using a cell phone and lack of response to calls from police. And that's gonna be, I'm gonna ask CHP and the sheriff to address 911 calls. We're gonna start with Lieutenant Parker.
All right, in regards to 911 calls, it's the first I've heard that we've had any kind of issue with 911 calls not being answered or not being able to be placed. If that's the case, obviously that's huge. With cell phones, if you have an active cell phone and you are not covered under a bunch of trees, you're not in a basement, you're not in some sort of dwelling, you should be able to make essentially a satellite phone call, emergency only, regardless of whether or not you have Wi-Fi. Obviously, if you have a landline, you should be able to make a 911 call there. Who has had issues where you call 911 and it didn't go out? What was the circumstance?
There was a woman who was in just outside of the community center at one of my events, and she was screaming for help, and I called 911. It took me about 6 times for the call back to go to the 911.
But people say call failed,
Yeah.
something like that.
I had an instance where I called as well, and it didn't go through at first, and then the second time I called, I think they pressed the wrong button, and I could hear everything that they were saying on the call. Which wasn't anything
A
major,
mistake,
but
but-
it was confusing in the moment because they
Sure.
were talking to me, what kind of information do you want? Yeah, so it was just a confusing situation, and I wasn't aware of what was happening, but it didn't go through the first time, and then second time, I'm like, are you talking to me, are you talking to them, what are these sounds I'm hearing, so.
Where do these locations happen at?
Mine was at the community center. What's interesting for me is I was actually on Wi-Fi. So that's what was kind of bizarre is that it took, I've been maybe 5 or 6 times to actually get through, even on Wi-Fi. And I know we had some cell tower issues as well, so I don't know if that had any, either way, it was a little bit.
In that particular instance, that sounds probably like an issue with the Wi-Fi. That could have been probably turned off. Should have been able to make an emergency call.
You should, right?
So maybe that.
If that didn't happen, then it's something we could look into.
So I think that, what, Lieutenant Parker said, because I've done it with my cell phones, if you're on Wi-Fi and you're not getting through, go onto your thingies and turn off your Wi-Fi and you know, you can do the emergency 911 and it should go out, right? Is that, yeah.
It's supposed to, yes.
And sometimes I tell my husband all the time, turn your Wi-Fi off so it'll work outside of the house. And that's really important. I know it's hard to remember when you're in a panic, but I think that's the message from High Patrol, just to go in and switch that off and it should connect. And I know that also with the switch from US Cellular to T-Mobile, it's very hard right now to get any kind of good reception. Go ahead. Okay.
Lastly, on the 911 thing, unless there's further questions on that, you also have the ability to text 911. And that should also go through.
I didn't know that.
If for whatever reason it doesn't, trying to call off of Wi-Fi, clicking off the Wi-Fi on your cell phone should allow you to connect to the satellite, unless you're in some sort of basement or under a bunch of trees. If you have clear, just like Starlink, if you had clear satellite view towards the sky, you should be able to satellite phone on an active cell phone, regardless of having Wi-Fi or connection. So something to look into.
How many people still have landlines? Landlines? Great, awesome. So one thing that we're working on is, I don't know if you understand, that AT&T is trying to drop the responsibility of having the caller last resorts. That they want to eliminate all copper lines and the responsibility of maintaining those lines, because they are on the hook right now to be that 911, that last resort 911 call that many of us still have at our homes. And when you live in rural areas, that's the only dependable communication you have. Getting communication to you and you getting communication out. So that's something we're continuing to fight as the Sheriff's Office and the Board of Supervisors. But it's also the RID Board needs to also be a part of that conversation, making sure that Chris Rogers, our Assembly member, knows that you are opposed to this legislation, because right now AT&T is lobbying heavy in Sacramento to get rid of this. And they claim, oh, trust us. We'll make sure that everyone in rural Northern California is able to have a 911 call through a landline. I don't trust them. The reason why they want to get rid of this is because there is an expense for this. So that's one thing that we want to maintain. Please make sure that you contact Chris Rogers and let him know that you want, to maintain those copper lines.
So the part of the question, hold on. Part of the question was response times or not coming in person, and I think the sheriff addressed that. Do you want to say more about that?
I do. I think it's really important. Please demand a response. My expectation to the board, to everyone here, to everyone in the community, when a crime occurs, you should have a deputy sheriff show up. When I'm looking at the stats over the last 3 years, we don't have a lot of crime that occurred here in Shelter Cove, right? The primary thing that we get called to are abandoned vehicles, thefts, violation of restraining orders. And those are, only 30 or 40 calls in the last 3 years, right? For those main things, okay? You don't call enough. So when you do call, we should be there to answer that phone call and make the drive, make sure we make that personal contact. There's no reason why we should do anything over the phone. You have the opportunity, if you want to file an online report when there's no suspect information, someone vandalized your home, someone, broke a window, or they, you have a minor theft with no suspect information, you can do those online. But otherwise, a deputy or sheriff should come out and take the investigation. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question in regards to that. What would be, based on Shelter Cove Road, what would be an expected response time? There was an issue in my neighborhood a few years ago, and the sheriff, I did not call. I did not make the call. I actually broke up an argument between a couple of neighbors, and the response, I was told the sheriff was called, and the response time was like 3 or 4 hours later. I was ready for bed when the sheriff wanted to talk to me.
Yes.
So, it just, that's reasonable.
Yeah, it's a good question. Our county is broken up into 2 different districts. One district is Southern Humboldt to Eureka. Main station is the main operating station there. where we have 4 deputies and a sergeant that are assigned there in main station. We have 2 deputies that are assigned in Garberville station, and that's our full staff. But if there's a deputy that's in court one day, they have to go to court. If there's a deputy that makes an arrest, they have to go to Eureka. They could be in Bridgeville because that's also their beat, or Petrolia. And at that point in time, if there's a call here, an emergency call, it could be an hour before they get here. At the best time, if they're in Garberville, if they're at the station, they're going to get here as quick as possible, half hour, down that road, hopefully, they get quick. But yes, but that's the expectation. Again, the best thing we can do is having a resident deputy here. We know the benefits of that. But realistically, it's going to be 45 minutes. It's going to be an hour, until you get a deputy here.
Lieutenant Parker?
Yeah, I've got a situation about 5, 6 years ago. A neighbor called me up and he said that a friend of his had a gun pulled on him. And he called us a security deposit. The first thing they asked is, "Did you shot me?" I said, "No." The neighbor called me up. I called up. Tell the same situation. They asked me again, "Have you been shot yet?" They said, "No." They said, "The car's going right up the street. 2 guys in a white pickup. They come in Shelter Cove Road. You probably run into them." There was no response. This was about 5, 6 years ago. So that's, there's situations that happen that, not to be disrespectful, but they don't come out, man.
I think the sheriff's hearing you, and he is saying, demand that you want someone there. And
when someone gets a gun put to their head, I mean, that's closer to getting shot.
Well,
Yeah, that seems ridiculous. I know. I'm not discounting anything you said. Okay, but the expectation here is that we would go out to all felony cases, all in progress crimes. When there's a violent or serious felony, we are coming out. We're going to make a response. Oftentimes, when someone's life is in danger, we will come lights and sirens to your location to make sure that everyone is okay.
Sheriff, is it an expectation that your deputies also want to hear that I'm fearing for my life?
Absolutely. It's all about life safety. We prioritize life over property in a day to week. And so when someone fears for your life, we're going to get someone here as quick as possible. We're going to, oftentimes they may be taking a report, a death report, and if they hear a life safety call, they're going to leave that report and go immediately, to your case because there's a life danger in jeopardy. So we're going to get there.
They did that for me.
Hold on, hold on.
But Todd Aiken is
Hold
going to
on,
be
no,
prosecuted.
please. Lieutenant Parker, I want you to address the response time for heavy assault.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what the sheriff said, our office is closer. We're in Redway. And when we call 10-6, when they're 10-6 on a call, we oftentimes will respond out. And like we said earlier, hold down the fort until a deputy gets there. Or sometimes we might handle it. They'll do the same thing for us. So if there is an emergency situation and good information about, saying that you're in fear for your life, something like that, our units might be closer. Again, we also might be on a crash or out in Alder Point, or again, we go all the way down into Mendocino County, so we might be on a call down there. Sometimes we are busy. Sometimes the sheriff's office is busy. Sometimes you'll catch us calling when we're during shift change. So that happens as well. All stuff that we really can't help, but we make a commitment to you guys to try to be there, to break up fights, to intervene when someone's having a gun pulled on them. CHP will respond if we are available. That sense of urgency and that information needs to be conveyed when you're calling 911. And if we can't, we'll start heading that way. Like I said, our office is closer. We're not always at our office, but we'll do our best, and we have a great partnership with the sheriff's office. So if you're not having that response time, make sure that you're conveying the right information to dispatch. They don't always ask the right questions, but let them know that this is an emergency right now, and we will get somebody there, whether it be the sheriff's office, whether it be us, whether it be state parks, whoever's closest. If it's that big an emergency, we'll be there.
You had your hand up. What? Hold on.
I want my.
No, hold on. This is about 911. You have something to say about
I have
911.
but to say what I already was saying and you
No,
cut me
we
off.
passed that conversation.
No, we didn't. You cut me
No.
off. Clyde Ainsley assaulted me and is going to jail for it. And so is this woman here. These are, I'm the victim. There's no crime here. These people here, and these people here have made lies up that we need a sheriff for me when I'm the victim. Stop. They're the criminal.
And you're gonna talk to the sheriff after.
No, he knows.
No, but then you're gonna be quiet right now. That is not what we're talking about. Go ahead and take a seat, please.
I
Thank
have
you.
more to say. This meeting is
No,
fine. I have the letter that
This
you wrote.
meeting is
That's the way she looks at you.
I have a letter that says it's for me to stop when I'm dangerous. When I'm not dangerous.
Well, I think okay, one of the questions is, hold on. One of the questions is about removing dead deer on public roads. Public Works does that, so you can call Public Works, you can call me, you can call, even if you call a deputy, you can call the fire department, they will remove a dead deer that is in a road that has been hit. That is a dangerous road condition. I'm sure CHC has done it before. You need to be specific when you call that it's in the roadway, it's a hazard. If you call me, I will get Public Works out here, especially if it's, the road out here is not great, and I'm gonna address that as well, but you don't wanna be hitting the deer when it's dead. It could cause another accident. So please do call it in. And there's a number, the Public Works number is on the county website, and call dispatch too. Yeah, call dispatch, call Nick, but make sure you call somebody, okay? Because we will come get it, and they will come get it and remove it. So we're gonna, we pretty much have addressed most. Hold on. Take a seat, or I'm gonna ask you to leave.
Michelle, we have a couple of questions online too.
Go ahead, Chris.
How about Jane? Would you like to go first, Jane? Just go ahead, unmute yourself and.
Christine, take a seat, please. Thank you.
Hi, this is Jane. Thanks everybody for being here, and I really am appreciating how much everybody cares. I think that my question actually is probably better suited for somebody who actually runs the airport. I don't know if there's somebody here in this meeting. I saw something over this last weekend, and I just want to make sure that I report it to the right person who might be manage the airport, but also has a relationship with the FCC, or not FCC, FAA.
Chris, can you ask her to call you after?
Jane, you can email me after. I act as the airport manager, so I can address your concerns on the airport.
Can you put your contact information in the chat?
It's in there. DM@sheltercove-ca.gov.
Unfortunately, I can't hear you very well. With all the ambient noise, it's been very difficult to hear over the call.
Go ahead and email or input your email into the chat, and I'll get to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Eden, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have less of a question, more of a, I would be willing to take initiative. I'm in contact with Cal Poly's data science department, and maybe what we need to do as a community is get some empirical data collected. A lot of times when there's hard numbers and facts, that will help the grant writing committee of RID and the Humboldt County see really where the problems are. And it gives us a proactive stance. We all have opinions, we all have concerns, and we voice it with our words, but data speaks volumes, and it might be a way that we can open a channel of funding in to address some of these issues, because our county is dealing with a deficit, and we might be able to do that as a small little niche part of the community where we can get funding for an officer, funding for the animal control, funding for public safety health issues. So I just want to throw that out there to everybody. Data speaks volumes when it comes to bringing money in.
There's no data, there's no crime.
Quiet. Take a seat. Chris, can you ask the callers to address our guests? That's why they're here.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have anybody else online?
No.
Okay, so right here.
Yes.
So we're just going to open for general discussions. We've kind of addressed all the issues. So if you raise your hands, if you guys got questions, we'll just go in order right here.
Yeah, I have a lot of people talking different things, and I see a systemic failure that's going on. if we have the top people here, that they need to be notified when there are so many issues for so many years, it is clear to me there is a process failure in the whole process that you guys have. You cannot be the guys to call in every single time there is a problem. I think you should look inside and see why you don't see on your charts these problems. Shelter Cove is not important, and for a budget perspective or whatever it is, it's a waste of time for everybody to be here. How do you address that? How can you promise you can fix these problems when you don't have the budget to do it? Are these empty words we are hearing? That's what I have to say.
Okay. Hold on, please.
No, I think that's thank you, great point. And that's why we're here, to make sure that the process is improved, make sure that the expectations are set, and make sure that we know, and we hear personally, that, we're not meeting expectations. Our deputies should be responding, our deputies should be here and addressing these concerns. We don't have a lot of calls, like I said, in Shelter Cove. And so we will make sure that I can't come out here. I can't go and do that. But what I can do is I can make sure that our deputy sheriffs are doing their job out there. That is a very important role, and that's why this meeting is going to be, productive. Thank you.
If I could just add real quick, I offered to be available, and it's not that I am like the next rung up from where the code enforcement. There is a manager over that, and actually he's fairly new, but he's doing a tremendous job. He's actually put the investigators in a place where they have to report what they're doing. They have to report on making contact with violations. So there's some changes that have been made. But I don't like to come to these meetings and sound bureaucratic. I'm far more pragmatic and know that the best way to address it. So there is a structure there. I'm just at head of the structure. And there's no way in the world I can look at every single thing inside the department. So I take the criticism and receive it. But I also just want to say that, to a certain extent, exposing myself to your ability to talk to me gives me a deeper understanding of where the gaps may be. And that allows me to make more significant changes. Thank you.
Hold on. Also, just to back what Director Ford said. So I meet with Director Ford weekly, but I probably call him 4 times a week. And we talk often. I have a very rural district, which you all know, and is monitored by planning and building a lot. And so if you are not getting in direct contact with John, please call me. I'm happy to take your concerns and ask him, have him call you. Really, as your district supervisor, I'm a connective person for these folks here. I call them and talk with them all the time. They call me. They ask questions. Please, that's my job. Utilize it. I'm not offended if you call me. My cell phone's out there. It really does help me to understand and know that there's something going on out here. And I know that a lot of you guys have said you should know. I have a big district, and so I don't always know. And I apologize. Hold on. It's not your turn. The big district. Please call me, because if you get me on the phone, I do answer my phone, then I know. And then you can say, you didn't do anything. But unless I know, please. Okay, she was next, and then you can go.
You were mentioning unpermitted structures. Right up to the top. I don't know what.
Hold on, Christine.
I don't know what the size.
I don't have an unpermitted structure you're talking about.
But the word unpermitted doesn't it should be
It doesn't matter.
So going up to some of the things you brought up before, Sheriff and I actually already had a side conversation. We are going to commit to going up and addressing that. And we are going to take our independent areas of enforcement authorities and work together to do our independent job. That is a takeaway from this meeting that we are committing to. Okay, so like I said, I don't want to just sit here and tell you stuff. I'm far more interested in hearing from you and having that generate action.
Thank you.
Okay, your turn, sir.
Yeah, Cass and I were recent victims of thefts. We had our trailer stolen over the weekend off of Shelter Cove Road. My question is about your budget. It seems to be lack of patrol coming into Shelter Cove or patrolling the roads to Shelter Cove. How are you going to address that? We were out there for 8 hours waiting for a tow truck that never came. And so we went home and overnight it got stolen. So at this point, you know, you're talking about budgets, or the thieves out here understand that you guys aren't going to come. They're just going to run rampant. Why is there a budget to at least patrol, you know, into Shelter Cove?
Absolutely. So the question is, you know, is there a budget to patrol Shelter Cove? And it's a part of our beat. It's a part of the Southern Humboldt beat area. And so the expectation is our deputies, you know, when they have time, they patrol all areas of the beat. Now, when there's a call for service, that's the priority. And so wherever in the beat, you know, they'll have to go and answer that call for service. But if there's no calls for service, then they're expected to be patrolling. That could, again, patrol, you know, Wilder Ridge, you know, Petrolia, Alder Point, Shelter Cove, you know, all the areas of Southern Humboldt. That's the expectation.
So we were out there for 8 hours waiting for this tow truck that never came, and we didn't see any patrol come by in that whole time.
So,
go ahead. There's no cell coverage where we happen to be. It's off of, there was
so
nothing.
CHP is also going to address this because vehicular is usually CHP.
Well,
But just to
CHP
get
did
the
come out,
presence,
check our-
right? You would love to see a deputy come by to help you in that situation.
Somebody, you know,
Absolutely.
in 8 hours, you know,
Yeah.
not one patrol vehicle came, you know,
Right.
rolled by. And
And I don't know the
that's my point.
situation,
Like,
and I don't know the situation at that point in time, whether the deputy was available or not, where there was a call for service at that point in time.
Right.
You know, those are all things that we just don't know. But yes, the expectation is when they're.
Yeah, we have to say that CHP, they did send someone out.
Okay.
Thank you very
Well,
much.
to our house,
The
the
next
next day.
day, all the way out here to the cove. So we
Yes.
appreciate
To
that.
report the stolen
Yeah.
trailer. Thank you. Were we able to recover the trailer yet?
No.
We'll find it.
Back.
Hi, Jack Carter, 20-year plus resident, but much like Mike and Mike, so been to several of these and heard many of these things, complaints and everything, and I understand the budget has been an issue about the residents that we need to whether the district has decided to, whether it be funding for somebody to come through for the whole academy or anything. And I do understand. I understand this call for service, and I've sat up at that table and told this same audience, call, even if it feels like nothing's happening, call. I would still say the same to everybody, call, because as these gentlemen here are saying, it is call for service, and we do talk to the deputy is good enough to come into the board meeting or come onto the board meeting, kind of give us a rundown of the calls. And it really does surprise me the limit of calls that we get. I understand we're in a rural, kind of a suburban area, but we are in a rural area. A lot of people aren't willing to call, whether they don't want to get involved or whatnot. Deal with that 911 all the time. People see something, they don't want to actually, you know, intervene. They just call 911 and they've done their job and they keep on going. What I would like to pose to you as a possible solution, I understand Tom was a fantastic deputy out here. He was great. We hadn't seen anything for at least 10 years between Tom and Deputy Hamilton, who was out here great. And we had great interactions with him at that point. I understand there's not the money there for fully funding a deputy out here. If we could just have a deputy who would out on their regular patrol, maybe twice a week, come out here and patrol Shelter Cove for 4 hours, whatever, half a shift. I think that they would get embedded enough in the community. They would see it's these slow burning problems. that we're having. It's not, necessarily the gunshot and that kind of thing. I mean, those do happen, but it's these slow burning problems that we're having that build up and build up and build up. And much like Tom was able to kind of get into that, he's able to control the outlying neighborhoods, out control the Warden Court and the Muskrat Court, and these places where people do hole up and they do hide out. And our current deputies, they don't have the time for that. They're coming through, they're doing the major thoroughfares, or they're going to wherever the call for service work. But if we could get that, somebody who did have that time to just go check out the outlying areas. I understand you don't have a budget for having somebody just live out here and do it. But if we could get that commitment, to take it back to funding, we're a decent tax base. Our property taxes, there's a lot of properties out here that gives a decent amount of money to the community, to the county. I think the people just want to see that they're getting their dues.
But the
that they're getting what they're
don't
getting.
represent it.
So, I don't want to be another problem. I want to try and offer solutions on it. And I think that may be one that could be at least kind of a stopgap or a bridge.
Yeah, thank you. What was your name again?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's a great point. And this is what we'll commit to, is that in the RID meeting, we have a deputy or sergeant that comes and maybe appears online. What I'd like to do is have an ongoing list of areas that you would like to have patrol checked. Okay? And so this community can dictate where they would love patrol checks. And we'll provide that to our deputies, and then they will be tasked during that month to go and make sure they check off all those lists when they come there. Okay, we can do that, but we can make sure that we can auto-populate those into their system where it actually comes up as a call for service. Patrol check this location. We're talking about a location where there's, maybe some illegal activity, illegal structures, that'll be on the list. And so they'll come here, we'll check it, make sure that people don't move back in once we do push them out. And so we will commit to that. Community needs to work together, find out what their top priorities are for that month, and we will get that on the patrol checklist, okay? Thank you, Jack.
So I just want to, we have about 15 minutes left. We're going to do 5 more minutes of public comment, and then the last 10 minutes is going to be for the board to address the folks here. But one thing I do want to ask Director Ford is there was a question around code enforcement picks and chooses what they respond to. How do I make a code enforcement complaint? So can you just really quickly just say that, I think you can go online, right, John? Can we just say that or explain that?
To make a complaint, yeah, you can do that online. And we do ask you to not make it anonymous, to give your name, contact information. We will not share that. And so that's really important. And what that then does is that triggers the creation of the case. And then the code enforcement investigators are broken down by area. And so they'll be assigned to the code enforcement investigator for this area. They do not get to pick and choose what they want to respond to and don't want to respond. Everything gets responded to. And as I said before, if you're finding that not to be the case, contact me or the manager of the code enforcement team. His name is Keith Ingersoll, and he is a very, very solid individual.
Okay, Michael's next. Sit down, Christine. Michael's next.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. That helps a lot.
Yeah, pictures. Not your pictures, in general, the general question.
I want to thank you for the public commenters. It's kind of hard to hear when others are commenting or they're talking, and also maybe we could pass the microphone when someone's speaking.
We're almost
okay.
done.
Now.
Yeah, too late. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. I see we're running out of time, so I want to thank you all again for coming. But I like what I'm hearing just in this last few minutes. This gentleman has identified such things as systemic failure. I see that 30-year systemic failure, so that's where this frustration is coming. I like, Sheriff Hansel, what you just said and committed to. So I was going to try to actually, before you said that, before everyone leaves, commit to some plan or solution that we can actually buy into. using myself as an example with my experience over this time, I hear you talk, you know, and we need to see action here and also some preventive action so people don't get seriously hurt or killed. But thank you again, and thank you, district, for these guys being.
I do want to add one thing that, you know, thank you for that. We do want action. All of our crime stats are online. Everyone can go to Humboldt County Sheriff Crime Stats and then look at the calls for service over the last 3 days in Shelter Cove. And you can look at that and see, you know, what's happening or what's not happening, you know, in our area. So we can also do that. We can also make this report available every month at our RID meeting. We provide a detailed report of all the calls for service. So we will commit to that as well. And so everyone is transparent. You can put it on your screen. This is your information. You provide all this information here. It'll give locations of where generally, you know, there's certain crimes that we don't give exact locations at, but there's generally areas where we'll give, you know, 100 block or whatnot of where crimes occur. And so everyone knows what's happening.
Okay. And then you're gonna be the last commenter, and then we're going to the RID. Hold on, we're going to the RID board. Okay,
What about me?
You're in the,
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Swope. My husband and I live on Lower Pacific Drive and have for almost 5 years now, right across from Seal Rock, so about halfway down. An adjacent neighbor, the neighbor to the south, is housing 9 canines, and it's been verified through one of the animal county control sheriffs who did his thesis in wolf biology, identified them right away, a lot of them as wolf, straight wolves, and some may be hybrids. So after 48 months of this, dealing with the county, and John Ford, his assistant Warren Black, you know, presenting what seemed like overwhelming evidence of this legalism, we haven't had much, you know, attention. So I'm concerned about the issue because it has escalated now to where the woman who cares for the dog, the woman who cares for the dogs is now opening the garage, all the animals, there are maybe three that are housed inside. All the rest of those animals are housed in the garage adjacent to her house and in a pen. You know, they're basically, it's a combination of the garage and this pen that at least 8 of them are in. And that's right on our property line. So just 5 feet from our bedroom and our living room. And it's like Jurassic Park. It is like deliverance. It is like something you cannot see unless you see it in person. Several people in here are friends and have actually worked on construction and have seen it, you know, and it is really hard to believe. So the odor is obviously a big issue. The sanitation is obviously a big issue. All those things are issues. There's no, you know, the county code on public nuisance dog as it's defined causes damage to property of anyone other than its owner or keeper, yes. Harasses or intimidates people on property other than their own, yes. It doesn't chase vehicles, but makes disturbing noises such as barking, howling, whining, or other utterances to the annoyance, disturbance, or discomfort of neighbors or others in the vicinity of the property where the dog is maintained. Has been allowed by its owner or keeper to produce odors which annoy, disturb, or cause discomfort to people in the vicinity. Is one of a number of dogs or other animals maintained on the property owned and controlled by its owner or keeper so as to be offensive to persons or dangerous to public health, safety, and welfare. Has, when unprovoked, bitten any person who is lawfully on the owner's or keeper's property causing minor injury. So all of those things have occurred on multiple occasions, most cases, and are well documented, not just by the victims of those things who posted on Facebook that it happened or, you know, chased the dog around Shelter Cove and it was taking down deer. You know, there was one of these wolves that was out for over at least 3 days, running loose, raging all over the place with 2 animal control.
I'm sorry, that's your time now.
Oh, can I just add a comment so fast?
Hold on. Okay, sorry.
No. So anyway, the feces are in the street now is the big thing.
Yeah.
She's putting all the feces in the lower Pacific. It's this
I'm
deep.
gonna ask you to, after the meeting, come talk with John and to the sheriff, and, they can help with that, and we got a lot of complaints about that.
Hold on, yours has a violation.
Hold on, it's not your turn. Hold on. You're gonna get your turn, hold on, hold on. Hold on, go ahead.
So my issue is with illegal logging or actions. So, I'm trying to divide down over here.
Hello, everybody.
I'm president of the Shelter Cove Property Association, and we do, many trash cleanups. On Shelter Cove Road, we get a voucher for doing this cleanup. So I was wondering if we could get that also for the cleanup.
So you call me, and I work with Public Works, the money comes from Measure Z, and I'm happy to try to facilitate.
Fantastic, thank you. We're doing another trash pickup day on the 19th of this, and we're having a free barbecue afterwards. CERT is involved, BLM, the fire department always to thank for that. So, Cove Connect, SCARF, so it's a community outreach, so please join us for the barbecue or show up here at the fire department at 9 a.m. on the 19th of September to join us. Thank you.
Christine, you have 3 minutes, and then we're going to the RID board.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, 3 minutes.
I want to say,
Go ahead, go front, go front.
where, who's this?
Topic. That's not the topic.
It's just let her, she gets her public comment. 3 minutes, you got it? Okay.
Thank you.
Please be respectful. She's gonna do 3 minutes like everybody else, and then we're going to the RID board. And you're not gonna insult people, you're gonna make a point, and you're gonna talk to this panel.
All right, I want to make a point that the sheriff's not necessary here. They're convenient, it's nice, but there's plenty of protection here, and that these people are just crying for their own police protection. This is the balls violation. This is an active violation with zoning that hasn't been enforced. It's been on the balls reactor for 2.5 years.
This is Director Ford is listening, that's who she's addressing.
This is a polluting, fire starting problem. It's oil, pyrolysis oil, which is a hazardous waste, causes heart attacks, brain damage, lung cancer, everything. Please, this is the oil that they make.
There's no
This
oil.
is the oil that they make.
Please stop.
This is the reactor that they put wood in, like right here. And then they gas it. It's not burning, gassing it. And it melts it to a liquid and then to a gas. So it melts it from wood to wood tar to pyrolysis, wood oil, bio oil, and then it goes into the gas and fumes out the thing here. This is a lead painted recycled water tank that vaporizes at 750 degrees. Their old one right here had asbestos on it. It vaporizes at 750 degrees. These reactors get up to 1100 to 1800 degrees. They're red hot. They're explosion hazard. This violation they've never gotten a permit for this. And they've never done anything about it. And I have these flyers.
Hold on, please.
I have these flyers for people. And on the back, these are some of the pictures of this coal, oil, and gas operation, mom and pop. They're polluting the environment. The airborne emissions will contaminate the water supply, Telegraph Creek, and the threats from the reactor this is all documented in my documents, and the references are here. Pyrolysis and gasification technology distills wood into tar than petroleum crude oil that vaporizes into gasoline fumes. Creosote chemicals emitted from these wood distilleries and coke ovens produce coal tar pitches that increase cancer in several tissues, including the respiratory tract, skin, lung, pancreas, scrotum, prostate, bladder, brain, heart, everything. So it's just going down one after the other. Then fire. Gasification is a process by which solid organic material is converted into a highly flammable synthesis gas and its partially oxidizing environment. The most critical safety issues are fire hazards, explosion hazards, and toxic gas. The risk of gas escaping and causing an explosion is high. That's the gas escaping. Okay, these people, this oil is on fire when it comes out. It has a flame on it. There are all kinds of research that shows this stuff is a fire hazard. Now, they started the June 18th, 2024 Luke Cedar fire. It wasn't an arsonist. It was this thing. There were 3 of us witnesses. We smelled their tar.
I gotta sit here and say I started a fire? That's an accusation pointed directly at me.
I didn't even know it was you.
Yeah, well, everybody else was.
All right, listen, everybody, we are.
Every day.
3 minutes is up.
How did you know that you're harassing them every day?
Thank you.
No. I would love to go to jail. We're not will. Okay, let's go. Ditto. Ditto, Chris. You harass them every day. Go to the door. I'll take care of that. That's not how it is.
Call her out. She's inciting violence. Trying to get them to cross the line. Pattern of behavior. Yeah, you like it. She comes by our house every day. She comes to my house.
All right,
Takes those
everybody.
pictures
Let's
that she's trying to show you.
temperature here. Take down the temperature. Let's get this done.
Well, I happy had to hear that.
We're gonna move on to the board. We're gonna move on to the board for comments.
I want to know why Wendy and
Shane, we're moving on to board comments.
Wendy and Mac both went to get restraining orders against her, and they paid the $50 civil fee because I told them both that I would serve her, and they couldn't serve her the restraining order, so she continues to harass them every day. So is there something as a community of us that I've been being harassed for 6 years, that maybe we could all get a restraining order, so when she comes by our house, she just has to go by. She can't stop in my front yard and let her loose dogs go, knowing I have dogs and she's harassing me, and she knows where my property line is, so she'll stand there and video. So can we all as a community get a restraining order that's granted, that she has to go through our community, through our road, and not harass us? Hold on. And you disturb my peace all the time. Hold on, please. Disturbing all of our peace. So I'm gonna have to talk to you after. We're gonna be done.
Hold on, I'm speaking. Thank you. Hold on for a second. Okay, so anyone can get a restraining order. Okay, anyone can file a restraining order.
Part.
Hold on for a second. Okay, listen, you can pay the sheriff's civil deputies. Okay, well, there should be an opportunity. You will have a test. You can also provide it. You can also do a process server, any one of you can serve this. It's a non-conflict. Okay? But hold on for a second, okay? I understand the emotion is very, very high. I'm not walking in your shoes. I don't live in your situation. I don't live in your situation. I don't know what's all going on. I'm just telling you as far as you have to do things lawfully. If you take things into your own hands and don't do it by the law, then you will be in trouble. You will be violating the rights of someone else, which we have to get involved, okay? So your point about getting a restraining order is a valid thing. As long as everyone is not disturbing the rights of others and they're abiding by the restraining order, then, you know, there's nothing to happen. But if they violate that, then it's a misdemeanor, we come at and actually do something about it.
So we're ending right there because we're already past time and these folks committed to 2 hours. Hold on, please. The RID board gets a chance to ask their questions of these folks, please. Mike, go.
Okay, so I have something to say.
Hold on, sir.
When can I speak?
After the board, after the board.
Okay.
After the board talks.
Is this group?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're the last one.
Okay, so I only have one suggestion for Mr. Ford and Mr. Humboldt. If you send a deputy with code enforcement out here to certain areas, I suggest you send some type of social worker, because that is needed really bad out here. They have more resources and things like that to help these people, and especially.
I asked you, asshole. Yeah, you're talking about me. There's nothing wrong with you.
Let's just keep going. Who's the next board member who'd like to,
I have a question.
No, we need them back.
Okay. There's more issues than just this. Recognizing that it's a big issue. And I don't facilitate meetings for one thing, obviously, but we facilitate meetings for lots of things. There are lots of things, right? Now we don't have the sheriff because he's going to deal with the situation that just happened.
Finally.
And I know you guys are frustrated, but I have to do a process, so does everyone, and I feel it. I'm sweating bullets right now, you guys. I can tell you. Yeah.
Deal with it. I understand now why the code enforcement investigators said, I really need a sheriff to go.
He knows what's going on, and I know he knows, and I know he's spoken to you.
He has, and I understand not have a violation. There's that, it's done.
You know, but it's still living on and on.
I see.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So we will.
I see you. Please, I see you. Okay. I'm gonna, go ahead,
Yeah,
sir.
go ahead.
3 minutes.
I'm a resident, I've been here about 4.5 years. My wife and I thought we were in heaven when we moved here, because we lived down in Lower Pacific. The most horrible thing I've ever seen in my whole life is living next door to us, and I assume that many of these people are here because of it. And that is because my neighbor has 9 animals on her property, 3 inside, 6 wolves outside. They howl all day long. They smell. The flies are unbelievable. My wife spoke. She didn't get as aggressive as me. This pisses me off. John Ford knows about this for 4 years. He won't do shit. I've called you twice, and you won't do anything. This situation is horrible. She sweeps wolf shit down her driveway, then down in front of my house, and these poor people here, and we have to step over it. And I try to tell people, don't walk in that, because it's covered with bacteria and feces. Fine. She's a horrible person. She's called my wife horrible, unbelievable names. She swears more than any woman I ever heard in my life. It started when the smell was so bad. I, of course, couldn't smell it. It was horrible. I went over there one day and I asked her to please pick up the excrement. She told me to fuck off, and that started the war. And for all this time, she has bothered us, harassed us, sworn up, called my wife a cunt. I'm not holding back here. This is what she did. And you people won't do a damn thing about it.
Thank you.
It's illegal. All right? 9 animals in a property.
Can I ask you a question for a minute?
Yeah.
The last time I heard about this, there were 5 animals. 3 of them were, they were reported as medical devices.
Right.
We can't do anything about that.
You're wrong. I'm sorry. You're wrong. I know that she's.
If there are now 9 animals and 6 of them are wolves, that's a far different situation than what was there before. I will reopen the case.
Yay.
Wait, stop. No, you made your statement. People have actually.
Do I have 3 minutes left? Do I have any time left?
No, because the board is supposed to go.
15
And we're
seconds.
over our time, and I apologize a ton. But I do know code enforcement went there. I do know the deputies that went there.
And they're full of shit. A woman came out there and looked at this situation.
Let's tone it down now a little bit. We're moving on, thank you. We're gonna move on to the board. Who's next on the board?
All right, go for it.
Tesha,
Tasha.
you're up. Here you go.
Okay, hey, hello. Everybody, if we could have your attention, please. Let's be respectful to everybody in attendance right now. And please refrain from talking amongst yourselves right now so we can, keep this meeting, wrapped up. Oh boy. So I just want to say, I know there's going to be a lot of skepticism with the community leaving this meeting today. But I want you guys to be, and for us, for the board, that, you know, the board and I believe the officials that we have today are committed to coming up with some solutions. It's not going to be easy. Obviously, it's not going to be done today. And I know we've all heard this before. The reality is the reason why, Sheriff, you've been called, John Ford's been called, and the CHP Lieutenant has been called here today is because it is getting to the point where for years the community we've been left kind of to our own, having to protect ourselves. And it is getting to that point where something bad is going to happen. And that's why we're having this meeting today. So I appreciate your attendance, and I think that you guys are really getting the picture of where we're at in our community. I wanted to follow up on just a couple things. I'm hearing that there's not money for a deputy residence. And I understand that. I know we don't have enough calls, etc. But I do believe that there might be some other option as far as maybe a very well-trained community watch association or something like that, that maybe we can meet with you, Sheriff, and figure out how we can provide more public safety out here. I don't want to keep putting things on the district's plate because we really are, I don't want to say overwhelmed, but we are stretched extremely thin just keeping this little community going at the edge of the world, right? We have a lot on our plates as well. I think what you're going to find in some of your investigations on some of these more problem areas is that there may be property owners with one piece of property, and then they expand outside of their property, and then they also allow other tweakers to come in. You're going to be seeing, I almost can guarantee where your trailer is, and I'll talk to you about that after. We had a trailer and a boat stolen this last week as well, and kind of caught them red-handed, so it was returned. I know we can't keep going down this road that we've been going for at least 30 plus years. And I just echo everything that Mike Caldwell said. We are getting to a breaking point in this community. And in the past, it was not okay, but the community really did protect itself. Mm-hmm. We now have more people than ever from other areas where they're used to law enforcement just responding. And so they don't understand this we'll protect ourselves kind of mentality. And we have more eyes on us more than ever. And it's not fair for our community anymore to have to be the ones to defend ourselves. It's just not. And especially those people are going to get in trouble. So we don't want to see that happen. And that's why this meeting has been so important. This is for the CHP. We have certain areas where there's cul-de-sacs being taken up with multiple vehicles, trailers, boats. It does inhibit our fire department access. And from my understanding is we turn these places in, you guys tag the vehicles, but then the owner or the people, they'll just move the vehicle a couple feet. And then you guys have to come back and redo the tagging. So I'm just wondering, is there anything else that we can do in these areas where cul-de-sacs are being taken up and roads are being impeded with boats, trailers, vehicles, etc.? I mean, it's the same vehicles, they just move them a couple of feet, so you have to start the process over again. What else would you recommend us doing?
Well, essentially that is part of the game, and sometimes they figure out that if they are moving a vehicle, then they are no longer technically within the confines of us labeling it as abandoned or labeling it as nuisance. But to echo what we have been saying quite a bit, we need more calls for service. We need information about that. And if you need or have problem areas, again, I'm new to Southern Humboldt. First I've heard of this. Please let me know where you're having problem areas. I will send officers down here to address those. One way or another, we'll find out who the vehicles belong to. We have all sorts of tricks, I call them tricks, but they're actually vehicle code sections that we have the ability to utilize to get some of these taken care of. Let us know about it and we will address it.
Okay. I know and I know this predates you. This predates, a lot of our issues predates Michelle, you in your position, Sheriff Hansel in his position, John Boyd. A lot of these issues predate that as well. Okay, my other question, and I guess we'll be dealing with the wolf situation. I won't bring that up right now. I know there are things that probably the district could do. We've, in the past, we get these ordinances approved by the county, and then there's not a lot of, we don't have any help with enforcement, right? And so one of the things that the district can do is we can write letters and we can put liens on properties. We did do that for a while for fire abatements back in the day. Nothing ever really came of it, and it cost the district legal fees and a lot of staff time, and it just got kind of overwhelming with our small staff. So we kind of stopped doing that. But maybe we need to go back to that with some of these unpermitted structures and such. But what I guess this would be for you, John Ford, is when we have illegal, or I want to say unpermitted structures, and your inspectors come down here and then they don't really follow up on the hazardous materials, like as far as human waste and stuff like that, what is our next step? I mean, the structures aren't permitted, they have no water, they have no way of dealing with that. What is our next steps?
So one of the things I think that similar to what the sheriff mentioned, make sure that that's part of the complaint.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with that because that is a public health issue right there. And it brings in some other codes to deal with. If it's not being addressed, I plan on establishing some kind of regular communication with Chris, so that these things are being addressed, and so that if they're not, I get immediate feedback. I hear the frustration, and one of the things I'm going to do is go through and look at, have somebody develop a report of every code case that is existing that's open right now, and see what the status is, and start working towards cleaning those up, particularly working first on those where there are squatter camps, getting the people out of there, getting the site cleaned up, working with the sheriff's office, working with the property owner to get that cleaned up, and try to make sure that it doesn't repopulate. That is a priority that I'm going to walk away.
So my follow-up with that is code enforcement enforcing our ordinances? Like we right now, in our ordinances, we have no camping on private property, no trailers on private property unless you have a building permit. Are you guys enforcing that?
We cannot enforce ordinances that are not either county law or state law.
So even though the county ends up approving those, because we can't, I mean, we can write resolutions and then we take it to the county and then the county approves it, those still are not county codes.
There are ordinances that are adopted by the board of supervisors.
Yes.
We can absolutely enforce those.
I'm pretty sure. I'm positive that that's the case in these. Yeah. Okay.
Next, Wes.
Hi, gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming out today. Really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's a long drive out and certainly a long time here. I do have to leave in just a couple of minutes, and so I apologize for that, and I mean no disrespect. I would like to actually echo what Mr. Florentine here was saying earlier about how it's a very, and I'm sorry, this is a thick skin moment. It's a very disingenuous to sit here and hear that, you know, from you, Sheriff and Mr. Ford, that I wasn't aware that this was an issue when we have our public who has been reporting it to your department. As the head of the department, I think the expectation is, of course, excuse me, you're not going to know every little thing that happens in your department. You're not going to know at all times where all your deputies are. I don't think that's the expectation. The expectation is that your organization functions in such a way so that it can fix it, and that if things need to be escalated because they haven't been, then that would then show up on your desk. I mean, I was in the military and I work for the federal government. Like, I understand these larger organizations and how that works. So I guess I have two things there. You know, I think saying, well, I didn't know personally is difficult for us to hear as a community when we've been reporting these things to your departments. Mr. Ford, I really appreciate you giving us your desk phone and your email. I'm not sure how you understand how inundated you're probably going to be. And I hope that the community takes that and uses that. I think that we do have a correspondence from the county as part of our board organization. And so I think that that might be a good opportunity to provide that feedback already. That is part of every RID meeting. So every RID meeting, we have a moment where we say, is the sheriff on? Oh, the sheriff's not on. Or, oh, yes, the sheriff's on. And then we hear from the sheriff. And I think that that would be a great chance. You know, Mr. Ford, if you would also like to take advantage of those meetings to come on and say something.
I would absolutely love to. I used to be invited.
Great. Well, we'll make sure that Chris takes care of that then. Because I think that would be fantastic for our community, and to be able to see, you know, that your department is working through this stuff. I think that would be fantastic. And, you know, as you said, developing kind of a task force to go out to these different locations and making sure that the community knows that these are the locations we're hitting. You know, I don't know specifically about any particular issue, but I do know that there are issues with those camps. Those camps are fire hazards. They are public health issues, and we would love to see them taken care of in a way that doesn't involve fire. So, you know, I really appreciate that. In terms of the CCNRs, I would love to see more about that because I was not aware that we had those. My understanding is that that's sort of a quasi-governmental thing that exists outside. You know, Jason, as you said, we're primarily a utility company that also gets to manage an airport and put in parks and things like that. So in terms of us for enforcement, it's tricky unless we do these things like these liens. And as Tesha was alluding to, if we say in our, and I'm not exactly sure if we're talking about the same thing when we talk about CCNRs, if we say we are not allowing these particular structures on the property, and your response is, well, that's your CCNR, you have to enforce those. As Sheriff, you did, I think somewhat jokingly, but like, okay, who on the board is going to then serve that? You failed. Like, we can't do that. That's not something, you know, that I think any of us, first of all, want to do or really have the capacity to do. From a legal standpoint, we end up in those situations where now we're trespassing. Do we have the right to be on that property to say, hey, we have this enforcement where we passed a rule that you can only have 3 dogs on your property. You have 9 dogs. We're going to lien you. We're going to sue you. What is our opportunity there? What is our option there? We are not a, you know, CCNRs are something I've dealt with only in terms of planned communities that have very specific rules for this particular subdivision, this particular development. When I bought my property 4 years ago, I was not provided with any CCNRs. That may be something that's on the lower part of the code because I'm up close to top. And so if that's the case, those CCNRs typically flow with the property and they're associated with specific homes within that property that were developed in a certain way. That's my experience with CCNRs. And there is usually an organization that is devoted to enforcing those CCNRs and finding those individuals. I never sign anything. If I have 8 dogs on my property and RID has passed a law that says I can only have 5, how is RID going to enforce that? That's not a CCNR that I ever signed on to or associated with my property at all. So I'm not sure where that connection is. And I would love Michelle to talk more about that, because if we have more tools at our disposal, I would absolutely love to use them. So thank you. That's all I've got for now. So, yeah.
Thanks, Wes. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming out. Thank you, Michelle, for organizing this. We really appreciate it. I'm so glad everyone came and got to hopefully, speak your mind and let everyone know what's going on. I also don't know what's going on in every community here, but I really hope there is some resolution for you guys. I don't really have much to add. I feel like Kesha and Mike and Wes really covered everything, my questions. I guess my one question though is, I know when you go on the complaint form to like make a code enforcement complaint, you do have to put your name and number. And I know you did say that that isn't public. I just wanted to like make sure that is true because I've always, it's just been an issue that people have had, like they don't want to put their name and number. And I'm just wondering, is that a public document? I mean, is it just like go in a file and,
Can I comment on that?
No, sir, I'm sorry. We're already half an hour past these guys' time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So thank you for the question. It's my pleasure to clarify. So it is a public document, but when we release it, we redact information from it. So you'll see where there's a name, there's a big black box.
Okay.
We zealously protect people who report because they need to know that, we are working in their best interest. And so one of the things that often happens too is that you get typical complaints starting and we don't want to allow that to happen. And so we do protect that.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that was the one thing I was just like, a lot of people have been like hesitant to make complaints because they think that it's going to come back around to them. But I guess it just, you heard it from John. I would just like to put it out in the community. We do need to start complaining, putting things on the record, calling the sheriff and not just, because you see when we don't have enough calls that they're not thinking we're not important. And I know we are like very self-sufficient people out here, but I just want to say like also myself, like, I will be calling about the dogs that I see running around and, not just let it, go by the wayside. But yeah, thank you again for coming out. Really appreciate it. Yeah.
So my comment would be, again, thanks for the audience. I mean, these guys would not hear it if you didn't come out and voice your opinion. They really do. I think they understand, but they also understand our frustration. And we do have some problem children and we need to have those addressed. I'm gonna say maybe Chief Hansel that we do get a monthly update, and she comes online or he or one of your officers. It would be lovely if they could show up. And then at the same time, at least once a month, we know we're getting our area patrolled, when they're coming in and coming out. So, and it would show the community the face of your department and that we really do care and that we really do matter. I really think that it's a great idea, Mr. Ford, that we can get Chris involved and with the sheriffs and the CHP, that'll give us even more of an update. I have to give my hats off to Michelle Bushnell. Wow, what a great navigating of this event, right? And yeah, I talk about bringing this together, and I have to appreciate Chief Hansel, back to that thick skin. It's coming at you both barrels, but both those barrels are our frustration. And then I have to agree with Mike, 30 years, but something's gonna happen if we don't address this problem. We were based on vigilantism and we're too old for that. At least I am. So, again, back to that communication, I really appreciate you guys here. I can't thank you enough, but you can tell the frustration this community is having, and it's generational. So whatever roadmap you take, whatever you need to do as far as to start implementing and processing this, let's stop it now. As Mike said, 30 years. We have an area right now where we can start addressing it and making a change. On that note, thank you.
So there are cards up here for these folks' communication, CHP, and I don't share if you have any cards. Oh, yeah. Okay. And then Mike, it's on you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing. When these folks go back up to Eureka, it's only 4 of them trying to speak for all of us, right? So next year, when Sheriff Hanssel's going for money in his budget, we need to go up there and support. We can't pick and choose when Shelter Cove wants to stay out in Shelter Cove and when we want to be a part of the community. So a lot of times we're fighting for the same money, right? But fire and rescue go hand in hand, and we need that law enforcement side right now, right? So you guys have always supported us here. It's a little bit easier because you don't have to drive. But if you guys can make one time a year to go up there during budget season and show that a large chunk of Shelter Cove wants to be represented, it will help these folks be able to get that through. Because Sheriff Hansel said Michelle's one vote out of all those, and we're not going to beat out Eureka, McKinleyville, Fortuna, or actually they're ours. But the other ones, if we're not going up there and asking for that, right? I lost $1 million to the community of Nicole versus all the fire departments, right? 5 chiefs that went up there, put in our charm, and they brought in 50, 60 people, and the money went to them, right? $1 million for their roads.
You can attend by Zoom, and if it's gonna deter you by it's 2 hours, I get it, but all these meetings have Zoom. You can get on Zoom, you can make public comment. The sheriff would love for y'all to comment about his budget and ask the board of supervisors to give more money. Code enforcement needs more money.
Yes.
They have a very small budget, and it's for the entire unincorporated county, and it's your guys' taxpayer money, and what Nick said is true.
The financial decisions a lot of times is lobbying. So please, just one time a year, you guys coordinate that through all their, SCPOA, the Property Association, all those folks. Please, you gotta get that done for us.
Thank you guys for coming
And we
today.
do generate a lot of money.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Adjourn.